Okay. He sent them to Bethlehem and said, "Go and make a careful search for the child. As soon as you find him, report to me, so that I too may go and worship him." After they had heard the king, they went on their way, and the star they had seen in the east went ahead of them until it stopped over the place where the child was. When they saw the star, they were overjoyed. On coming to the house, they saw the child with his mother Mary, and they bowed down and worshipped him. Then they opened their treasures and presented him with gifts of gold and incense and of myrrh. And having been warned in a dream not to go back to Herod, they returned to their country by another route. Okay, so this one I got a few things out of too. First of all, Herod's full of crap, and he acted like he really wanted to worship Jesus, but he had no intention of worshiping Jesus. He just wanted to get rid of this baby that was a threat to his reign. And then I noticed a simple detail that the star went on ahead. I know this doesn't seem profound or anything, and you might have heard this before, but it just is a reminder to me to follow Jesus, that he goes on ahead, that God shows the way. We can look to him for his leadership. But then what really hit me was that finally they meet their Savior. So these wise men get there, these respected men, and there's a baby, perhaps a toddler by this point, and they bow down to him. And I just think how crazy that must have looked. Did they feel stupid bowing down to a baby? And it also opened my eyes to realize that these wise men were humble enough to humble themselves, no matter how God revealed himself or showed himself. They had faith in what they had read and in what they had believed and in what they had heard. And so when this Savior came along in baby format, they got down on their knees and bowed, even though it didn't make sense that a king would come that way. And just like God uses unexpected people, a mixed bag of people, small unimportant people like we've talked about, I think he always also goes in unexpected ways, insignificant ways, ways that don't seem like the top choice, like a helpless baby. So I think this is setting a trend for what God is like. And the last thing was that they were told to not go back to Herod because he was going to do terrible things. And so they went home, they returned to their country by another route. And what I liked about this was that he took care of the details and he protected his plan. Just because there was danger and there was risk, he didn't stop them from going in the first place, and he also brought them home, even if it had to be a different route. God has more than one way. It doesn't always have to be the fastest way. I'm sure they took the fastest or the safest way there because there was no threat really on the way there. But the fastest and the safest isn't necessarily best. And what we think is safest might not be the safest, because look at these guys. The route that they thought was the safest actually was filled with danger, and God showed them that. And what I wrote down here was, who knows all that a life detour accomplishes? Because the wise men's detour saved the Savior. Because the assumption is that if they went the way that they came, the quickest and assumed safest route, and they had gone to Herod, he would have gone after Jesus and tried to kill him. And maybe be successful, I guess, unless God, I guess God can always stop it. But going a different route, God used a different route to save the Savior. And maybe sometimes routes in our life just don't look like the quickest or the safest or the most logical. But I think sometimes we never know what God is protecting us from, because we never go the route that he protected us from. So we don't know what he was protecting us from. And we don't know what he's accomplishing by this different route. And I can tell you so many different routes in my life. And just one, for example, I never dreamt of being a stepmom, but here I am a stepmom. That's not how I thought I would have kids. But I don't know what was on the route to being a biological mother to 4 kids. And I don't know the miracles he's pulled off by having me walk the stepmom route. But if there's anything this teaches us, is there's more than one route, and God sends us the best way to accomplish what he needs to accomplish.